anything about this horrible thing called capitalism.
I have.
Yeah, you've heard that?
Yes.
You're like, what? How does capitalism affect me? I will tell you, it runs your entire fucking life. You've probably heard of socialism or communism. Communism! And they say they try to control your entire life. Your whole day is taken away from you. What control do you have over your day now?
Most people have to be chained to a desk for 40 hours a week and they're not allowed to leave.
When you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit and you have to wipe the sleep from your eyes and like look around and be like, why does this have to happen this early in the morning? That's a capitalism.
And it controls everything, like your healthcare, your education. It all comes down to making money, but some things just don't make money. Honestly, ask yourself, how afraid are you of getting an injury and how that could possibly fuck up your life?
Yeah, you're being stopped from skateboarding, breakdancing, doing anything fun, because if you get injured, you're fucked forever. You can't go to work.
And so then you have all these people that say, well, we can make a kinder capitalism, a more conscious capitalism. It isn't gonna fucking happen. We need anarchy, we need socialism, we need communism, we need anything but more capitalism.
But wait, Brett, when you go to the grocery store, you have almost unlimited choice. You can buy 100 different types of cereals.
All made from the same stuff with different graphics on the outside.
All corn. It's basically just a bunch of boxes of corn.
That's capitalism.
It actually treats about
Hey, Street Fighters, welcome to the show. It's basement show night, but it's really a telecom street fight. This is us doing a Zoom instead of our normal get-together. Things are changing in Street Fight universe, and this week I'm in my very echoey living room that has nothing in it to deaden the sound, but always happy to do this and spread this mess across the U.S. Thank you to everybody that's reached out and sent me well wishes. I appreciate it. Joanna sent me a box of fucking jams and jellies and sweet treats, and it was absolutely wonderful. I've been stuffing my face. It's been making me feel better, so thank you for that. And everybody else that's reached out, it's meant a lot. We are the #1 anarcho comedy radio show on a station across the nation, and we are moving forward with our plan to break down all hierarchy and create a completely flat world where we can work together without oppressing or taking advantage of other people. This is a place to kick back and relax for all of you out there that are fighting the good fight and doing the right thing to make a better world and a better place, and aren't afraid to step outside of the capitalist solutions. My name is Brett. My co-host is Brian. How are you doing tonight, Brian?
We just finished the first episode of Heat O'Brien Unleash, and I am sweating currently from that. It was a nerve-wracking show, I will say, but I think everybody is going to be very happy with what they get on that show, because you get some deep Brian lore that I don't think I ever thought I would ever give anybody.
Yeah, it was fun. We watched the first episode of Real Sex from way back in 1990 with Jamie Peck from Antifada. It was good and a lot of fun. It's always nice to talk about things that you don't do all the time. You know, you're wading into waters you know, and until you're saying it out loud, you don't know you know what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean that is the kind of reason we switched to the mini series over on the Patreon, is because we wanted a reason to talk about things that are different, that are maybe out of our comfort zone, or they're even just a little bit weird. But holy fucking shit, that show is incredibly uncomfortable. I think, you know, something I really took to heart when I decided to do this show is when I first pitched it to Brett, he said, you do know you will have to talk about yourself and sex. And I said, no, I don't. And then, you know, after I thought about it, I said, yeah, I think maybe that's true. I do have to give some of myself. So I give some of myself. It truly is Heat O'Brien unleashed. He is 100% unleashed.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and the subject matter was good. Can't wait to do it. I can't wait to do more. And you gave me an honorific as well. Brett Payne,
D4say.
Yeah, Brett Payne, the horny D4say.
Brett's a horny dude, everybody. I just want to let you know. I mean, he's not going to do it publicly or whatever, although maybe he might.
Yeah,
but
I'm going to do.
The man is horny.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a version of I'm gonna do an updated version of the Harper Valley PTA, but for like slutty boys, you know, for just like guys that are too, you know, gray sweatpants and tank tops at the book fair.
Yeah, but I'm very happy. Hey, you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy for you, Brett, that you're living a horny lifestyle.
I'm liberated.
You're a chaste, horny guy because. Well, I don't know if you're chaste, to tell you the truth. I wouldn't ask those questions. They're impolite and not on Street Fight. We don't do that. That only is on Heat O'Brien Unleashed on the Street Fight Radio Patreon.
Check it out.
So how's your I know you're having a pretty wild week. So how you doing, man?
Yeah, it's ratcheting up. You know, I thought times were tough, and I don't know, in the same way that like when I had a kid and, you know, when Erica was breastfeeding and I would get up like every 4 to 6 hours with her all the time, you kind of learn that like you thought you had limits, and then like kids will push you beyond that. Like a kid will just like dance all over your limits. And so I'm done doing my first week of true single parenting. And it's absolutely difficult, you know. Now I know how to do most things and can provide, and I have a good relationship with my kid. But it's just not a space I'm being, you know, used to being in, you know, and really the internet at my place is fucking awful. And I've been fighting with them for weeks, and it's been hell the whole time. And she's supposed to be doing virtual classes, and she can't sign online, and it's frustrating for everybody involved. But, you know, we've also got to make dinner together and go buy toys and thrift shopping. And yeah, we've had a good time.
Yeah. It sounds like you had good times. And
but
that
today
also, your internet does suck. It really fucking sucks.
And today was her big Zoom class. And she was like, I want to give everybody a tour of the new place. And that is not something I wanted to happen, but I did like 1 week of housework in about 12 minutes, basically. Like all the stuff that I wanted to do, like I just had octopus arms and I was scrambling. And she was like, I want to show them my room. And like her room is just a storage area at this point. And I'm like, I don't, you know, but I don't give a fuck. I mean, this is what happens. This is real life. You know, I put it on the internet. Why do I care what her classmates see, you know, and she shouldn't feel bad about it, you know, but it is like, it's just, it's a big transition. And I'm just avoiding the bad feelings as much as I can.
Yeah. But, yeah, absolutely. I that is a good move. You always want to avoid the bad feelings.
And then one big Charlotte update. She's ready to stream.
Oh,
she was like, Dad. And I was like, what? She's like, there's a girl on YouTube. She's 9 years old. She plays Minecraft. she streams. And I was like, okay. And she was like, maybe that means when I'm 9, I can stream. And then she had like beggy hands. She started like putting her hands together and got on her like knees. And I was like, I did the best dad maneuver ever. And all I said was, well, you got to get that reading up to par because you're going to have to react to people's comments. You can be able to read those comments and know what the people want to see. But I'm very proud of her. And I hope to help her in her streaming journey.
Oh, I would love to watch her stream. I mean,
she's a gamer, dude. She's a gamer. She watches her stuff. She's like, bro. She says bro all day long at fucking Roblox. And then she said, I'll give you the left, right, good night. That's right. I'll give you the left, right, good night. And she just keeps saying that over and over again.
What is that? What's the left, right, good night?
Knocking somebody out.
Left, right, good night. I just got it.
She demonstrated to me it's a left punch, it's a right punch. The good night is 2 overhand fists on top of the head. She does like a swirl around. Night. She does like a swirl around and then comes down on top of the head for the good night.
Holy shit. She sounds like a hell of a time to hang out with, really. You know?
Yeah, she's a wild child. Yeah, she's also I found the most amazing thing. It's called like the Little Da Vinci art frame. And it's like it's a frame that has a mat on it, and you can put 8.5 by 11 paper in it. It holds up to 50 pieces of paper. So like every time she puts something on paper, I can put it up on my wall. And then she was like, "Oh, I know the perfect thing for you. I'm going to do a Slender Man. I'm going to draw Slender Man for you and Slender Man's wife. It's so creepy. You're going to love it." I was like, all right, let's see. I got plenty of room now for Slender Man.
Slender Man has a wife?
Yeah, there's an updated canon or something. She thinks everything was created in Roblox. She keeps trying to tell me all this stuff that I know. She's like, "Oh, I know. I love Chucky." I'm like, "You love Chucky? You never seen Chucky?" She was like, "I seen Chucky in Roblox." I was like, "Well, no, we got to watch real Chucky. You know, that's not, Roblox is something that just happened. Okay. Stop this nonsense."
So listen, I'm going to help you out a little bit. Does she know about cheugy?
I don't know cheugy.
Oh, it's a word for things that aren't like cool. Like you would say something is not cheugy, or no, something is cheugy if it's uncool, and it's not cheugy if it is cool. And it's like something I learned today. It's something that they're saying, cheugy.
I'm into cheugy.
Yeah, I'm gonna start saying cheugy too. You know what I mean?
I think the best slang is the ones that you make up with your friends. Like you just have to know what it means with the people that you care about.
Yeah. So what cheugy is it's not quite basic, which can describe someone who is a conformist or perhaps generic in their taste, and it's not quite uncool. It's not embarrassing or even always negative. Cheugy can be used broadly to describe someone who is out of date or trying too hard. And while a lot of cheugy things are associated with millennial women, the term can be applied to anyone of any gender at any age. So cheugy, it's not just a way to describe people. According to those who have embraced the word, the following things are also cheugy. Here are things that are cheugy, Brett. The Hype House, Golden Goose sneakers, anything associated with Barstool Sports.
Is cheugy?
Yeah, that's cheugy. It's cheugy.
That's bad.
Gucci belts with the large double G logo. Being really into sneaker culture, Ray Dunn pottery, and anything Chevron. Those are all cheugy things. So,
wow, that sounds suburban to me.
Cheugy, yeah,
or it's basic. Again, it's just like it's a click above base. I get it. It's cheugy. All right,
I don't quite understand it.
I'm cheugy.
Yeah. So there you go, cheugy. I'm going to use it on my daughter tomorrow, and she's going to say, "I don't know what you're talking about." It's going to piss me off.
Dad, we don't fucking say that. And then 8 months from now, she was going to be like, "And then my teacher came in. He had these new shoes. They were kind of cheugy." And then you're like, "I told you that was a thing."
Yep. She will say cheugy, and she'll get mad at me and say it's not. That's something Gen Xers are saying.
Crocs got to be cheugy. I've seen a lot of pro Croc stuff recently, and that's a line I'll never fucking cross.
Yeah, the opposite of trendy, stylish in middle school and high school, but no longer in style. Used when someone
Eastlands.
still follows these out-of-date trends. This may include, but not limited to, fashion habits on social media, usage of slang, and so Kofifi is cheugy.
Yo, yeah, Kofifi is cheugy. I love that. I'm getting that tattoo. Kofifi is cheugy. That's the new mug. That's the new mug in the Street Fight store.
Kofifi is cheugy. We will sell 1 billion of them. Too much.
Get on Redbubble tonight.
So I promised this story on Sunday. Let's lead off with it, Brett. Because this is the kind of stuff I love. This is purely just a joy for me to read. A Georgia man who scammed hotel rooms and luxury limos by claiming to be with the Wu-Tang Clan has been sentenced to more than 8 years in prison, which I feel is excessive.
Yeah.
Walker Washington, 53, was sentenced by a federal judge Thursday, and in addition to the 100 months, he was ordered to pay almost $299,900 in restitution, according to court documents.
See, this is to me is some sort of gray law area where I feel like if you fell for it, that's on you. Like nobody else is responsible that you didn't do your due diligence on this. Like you should have followed through.
I've been saying this about checks, Brett. It shouldn't be illegal to pass a bad check now.
Right.
Because you should think that whoever's fucking writing you a check is writing a bad check. Why would somebody write a fucking check, dude? You know, it should be legal. It should be legal to do this for sure.
It's fair game. Fair game. If you're willing to take a piece of money with a signature, if you're willing to take a piece of paper with a signature on it as a payment, that's on you. No one else is responsible. You get no protection.
Yes, absolutely. This makes me nuts that these guys are going to jail. The scheme by Washington and Aaron Barnes Burpo, 29, went on for at least 2 months in 2019. Oof. Well, see, it's already passed too. You know what I mean? Like,
and what is this? Happen. This should be an HBO documentary about like a hot 2 months that somebody. What is this? We don't need to punish anybody for. They grew out of it. It's not like a criminal empire that took people down.
This is crazy. During that time, the men falsely said they were affiliated with Rock Nation and the Wu-Tang Clan, the famed rap group known for many hits, including Cream and Protect Your Neck, prosecutors said. They also used stolen credit card information to book hotels and rent limos. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Georgia said. These two flim-flam artists and their phony entourage lived large for several weeks by scamming hospitality providers, acting U.S. Attorney David H. Estes said in a statement.
Flim-flammers. He called them flim-flammers, man. That's like, wow.
You shouldn't be allowed to get in trouble for flim-flamming people at all. You know what I mean? Unless you do it to people broker than you. I think if you flim-flam somebody above you, legal. Below you, illegal. I kind of like that rule. That's kind of a rule that works.
And this actually kind of relates to the phone call that we had about the guy that was pretending to get hit by cars. And the caller was concerned that this person was taking advantage of other people. But I feel like there is a natural order to the system that, like, if you're so broke that if someone tries to scam you for $60, like they will get attacked. Like nobody is going to give up money that they don't have, you know, no one like if you're getting flim-flammed, you had the money to lose. Like you had too much to not pay attention to where it was going.
Totally true. Totally true. Exactly. And like when you start talking about like scamming hospitality providers, it's like, who fucking cares? You know, it's not like there's a lot of mom and pop hotels that are going to go out of business because these guys did this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's all, you just write it off. It's a temporary thing that they do for fun. It's not a lifestyle. You can't make that work. This is like they got out of it. It sucks. They have to deal with this still.
This is kind of funny part here. We commend the skeptical hotel clerk who saw through the scam and alerted law enforcement, bringing this scheme to a halt, he said. The scheme was foiled after an attempted November 21st booking at the Fairfield Inn and Suites in Augusta with a request for 10 rooms, according to a criminal complaint. The guest information was given as Rock Nation / Wu-Tang Clan.
That's tight.
I mean, Fairfield Inn isn't even like a nice hotel. I mean, it's nicer than like, I don't know, a Red Roof Inn probably, or a Motel 6, but I mean, a Courtyard by Marriott's nicer than a Fairfield Inn.
Agreed. Yeah, not the nicest accommodations. 10 rooms sounds fun. You're gonna have a good time.
I know, but then when people ask who you are, you can't just say Wu-Tang Clan / Rock Nation. You gotta like really, because the manager for them probably gives his name, and then Wu-Tang Clan. I work for the Wu-Tang Clan. And are the Wu-Tang Clan and Rock Nation together? Like I kind of thought they weren't.
They probably own them at this point. I don't know, or own. I don't know the connections anymore. It was enough to just impress anybody. Like it just scrambled somebody's brain. Like, oh my God, the Wu-Tang Clan is coming.
Yeah.
We have to give them rooms for free.
Yeah. The staff thought it was a scam, and it was. The FBI was contacted, and Rock Nation confirmed the group was not affiliated and said the company had received calls from other hotels, the complaint says. Some hotels said they'd lost up to $40,000. A limo company hired for 2 vehicles, including a Phantom Rolls Royce, was out more than $59,000, according to the criminal complaint.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Some guy rolled up and said, hey, well, I'm the Wu-Tang Clan, aka Rock Nation. Let me drive that Rolls Royce. Like, oh yeah, man, we love you. We're all about the Wu. Wu-Tang is for the children.
You should be. Now I can't say I'm Corey Taylor, because I said this on the Sunday show, but Corey Taylor, back before he took his mask off, was like the perfect guy to say you were, because he's very famous. I mean, up there, like a hotel would want to give Slipknot a room, I think. I mean,
yeah, they want to get maggot business.
Yeah, they want maggot business, so they would do it. Washington and Barnes-Burpo pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud in October. Barnes-Burpo was sentenced to 7 years in prison.
Oh, come on.
7 fucking years, dude.
Off of jealousy, because everybody's jealous. Nobody else has the guts to do it, and we're all jealous that they went for it. And now people feel bad for getting tricked, but they live the dream. Come on, what are we doing here? What a waste of time.
Washington
7 years. I mean, I don't know. You sure, maybe they need to pay people for some labor that they exploited. Maybe they did make someone drive them around all night and ruin a fucking limo and make someone clean it up after them. Maybe there is some restitution there. They don't need to be locked up in a box.
No. Here's what I would do. If I was like running this thing, you give them, 2 weeks in jail. You know what I mean? This is a 2 weeks in jail. In like a radical restructuring of the prison system, like the longest you would get is a year, and then for most things that they want to give people 7-8 years, it's like 2 weeks is enough. What's the difference between 2 weeks and 10 years at this point? It's 2 weeks is a long time, that's what I think.
Sure, that's wild.
We can give people 2 weeks in a really nice, like it would be more like a hotel, but it's like, hey, you have to, this is what I would do. This is my new prison system. You make people live in a hotel for 2 weeks that they're not allowed to leave. And it's like, hey, I need you to stay here and think about what you did and try and think about not doing it anymore. And 2 weeks and then you can leave. And I think a lot of people would be like, I'm not going to do this no more.
Yeah, there's also books you could read too to get some ideas.
Yeah. Maybe we can make them read a book. Maybe it's even 2
No,
weeks.
you.
Oh, yeah. I could read some books, but I came up with the 2 weeks idea.
Okay.
But then I was thinking you could just send them back to high school, like a high school. You know what I mean? Because that felt like jail to me. And maybe that's something. I don't know. I haven't thought of it. But then these two guys had spent some time in jail, and they came up with the scheme while they were there. And he said when they got out, they got started, and it just got out of hand. The FBI agent wrote in the document. So I assume what happened was these dudes. If these two guys could have gone on forever doing this, you know what I'm saying? Like these guys.
No, it doesn't work that way.
I think they could have done this forever if they didn't involve more people.
I think that they could come up with a Blood Brothers agreement where they meet once a year to have the most epic weekend of their life in a new city every single time, and they run the same scam. But in the same way that I found out that I could steal from work in certain ways, eventually you just keep going back and back and back, and then it's just so obvious what's happening here.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I even feel like they could have done it every month if it was just those two guys and they fucking were just using it to hang out like as bros together and stuff, you know?
No, you gotta fill 10 hotel rooms full of people though.
That's the problem. When you order 10 hotel rooms, it raises eyebrows. Like people are always we talked about that. These Fairfield Inns. I think it was a Fairfield Inn that got that guy in trouble that was pretending to be in the ATF too. Brett.
Oh, really?
If I remember correctly, it was a Fairfield Inn. Yeah. For those that don't know, back in a while ago, this guy was going to this Fairfield Inn all the time in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Same one. And he would go 2 or 3 times a year, and he would tell him he was in the FBI. He would say he was in the FBI and he was doing some undercover work, and they would give him the rooms for free. And fucking he started adding more times that he was going to go do this. And then the FBI finally, he got busted because somebody was like, I don't know if this guy's in the FBI. And then they called the FBI and found out he wasn't. And it's like, dude.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if the FBI just gets to stay at Fairfield Inn whenever they want and we don't have to say anything. We just hand them keys. Is that really how that works? There's no paperwork?
You would do that though if you were working. Put yourself behind the counter at Fairfield Inn, and a guy comes in and he's like, "Hey, I'm with the FBI. I need a room." You'd be like, "Here you go, sir, right away."
Yeah, you're right. I can see it.
Yeah, I hated cops growing up, and I hated giving cops free shit, but they like really expect that shit. You know what I mean? And you just end up giving them free shit all the time when you're working at like at a restaurant or something. Plus, that's the policy. But they wouldn't hesitate to ask. They wouldn't hesitate to be like, hey, the manager said I could get a free Big Mac combo meal if I come through the drive-through, and then they would just get it. And it was like I would just hand it to them. I think like where I'm at though is this Fairfield Inn. If I also remember correctly, they used to give me and you a whole bunch of grief when we would check in. I remember always hating the Fairfield Inns we stayed in.
And then was that the one in Tennessee that was the big headache?
Yep. That was the one. That was a Fairfield Inn in Tennessee.
Yeah. They do something to make their people too active. That manager person was way too interested in how we were using this discount and what our relationship was.
Yes, he was very curious about us, and it was very frustrating. So there is that. There's another story I saw today about another pretty outrageous jail sentence.
Okay.
That like it's just we live in this fucking world, dude, where like everybody is able to like where like we don't value people's time that transgress. You know what I mean? Like if somebody does something wrong, again, you're talking about a guy who pretended to be the Wu-Tang clan and ripped off some hotels, and he's getting 8 years in prison. I think that's
Yep.
so excessive, dude.
I agree. I mean, and similar to the way that we were talking about on the Heat O'Brien Unleashed episodes with America and like our timidity towards sex and puritanical upbringing and really repressed culture that is hypersexualized in very specific bursts, but very much afraid of nudity compared to other places around the world that are just grown-ups about it. Like sex ed is a controversy in America. And the same with our crime and punishment. We are extreme heavy-handed punishment culture, super high prison rates, all of that, where other places around the world have found ways to make changes to that system that are beneficial and aren't simply a matter of putting on a display of power and punishment and making somebody pay for what they did.
Right. We have a brutal prison system. Like people act like oh, you go to some of these countries and the prison system's brutal. And it's like the things I've heard about the prison system here make it seem brutal. It like sounds terrible. People are being put in solitary confinement and like the food has like maggots in it. Like that was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
and
that was an Ohio thing.
And who is that for? That's not for us. That's not for our community. That's not for Americans. That's not for our people. That does nothing except for it just creates the second class citizens, the way that we use and abuse those people. But we have this like moralistic standpoint of like, if you fuck up, you have to pay for it for the rest of your life. It's just an awful culture when it comes to that. I mean, trying to talk to people about prioritizing prisons for COVID vaccines was even a contentious issue, last year. And still is, like, to prioritize or even consider those people is something that is not popular in most of American culture. We consider it to be a seedy, disgusting place where people get what they deserve. And just all you have to do is try to not do something to get there. Don't do something to get there.
Think about every conversation you've had where the first part is where somebody complains because they have cable TV, like where it's like, is that like the top thing? Like, is cable TV the number one top thing that like you can get? Is it the ultimate luxury item? You know what I mean? It feels like a utility now. In the world we lived in all my life, cable has been basically a utility, not a.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Or cell phone use where it's like they should be allowed to have cell phones. I don't see why not. It's part of living in the fucking world. If you expect people to have any sort of a normal life when they get out, you want to prepare them to be in the normal world, which is exactly what they don't want you to do. You hear a lot of people complain about prisoners getting college degrees and stuff like that. And it's just like, I studied criminology for a semester in college, and like the way they think about the prison system, that like the length that sentences have gotten to, because they didn't used to be as crazy as they are now, Brett. A motherfucker didn't just get 8 years for pretending to be somebody, somebody famous. It ratcheted up over the years. And I think the war on drugs had a lot to do with it, because they were like giving those mandatory minimum sentences for the war on drugs. And it just made everything seem like, and I've had these conversations with people all the time. Somebody will get 15 years for like assault or something like that. And then people will be like, only 15 years. And it's like, 15 years is a massive amount of time. It's not like a small amount of time in the life of a person.
Yeah, it's hard to know how to make that change. You can advocate, you can talk to people. You know, as we've been talking about with the show, as things move forward, a lot of liberals wanted to do the right thing and show the right responses to the prison industrial complex and be woke and all that. And you know, a lot of them are being introduced to new abolitionist ideas. It's not going to take hold. It's not going to be an overnight success. But it is definitely one of the most difficult situations ever. It was something that I mean, just as a young person, wondering why all the adults were so cruel and heartless, you know, about crime and punishment, really disappointed me. And now, you know, kids, young people, everybody really is able to find places and information that is a lot more reasoned and sensible and provides the blueprint for a better world.
Absolutely. So this is the reason I wanted to bring this up is because I saw this story, which was it blew my mind, dude. A teen charged as an adult has pleaded not guilty to multiple felony counts stemming from a Florida high school homecoming queen contest that prosecutors allege she and her mother rigged by hacking into a school district computer system. If
What?
convicted, if convicted, Emily Rose Grover, 18, a student at the Tate High School in Pensacola, faces a maximum sentence of 16 years in prison,
No.
officials said. So what happened is this woman and her mom rigged. Her mom's a vice principal at the school.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, is this like a computer scientist mom that was just like got really caught up in her kid having some sort of like Disney movie experience?
Dude, I'll tell you what though, it is really fucking weird to me that somebody's mom would do this. Like to even think about a mom being like, I need you to win the home like I'm gonna
It's
cheat and make you win the homecoming queen. Seems
yeah.
wild to me.
Not, I mean, not really, because, you know, as a part of raising a kid and interacting with parents, you realize more and more that people invest themselves into their kid, like as their self-esteem. Their kid becomes everything or like a reflection of how good or bad they are and all the things that they do. So you know, we all have a problem with like over identifying with our kids maybe these days and, you know, wanting them to have the best experience, but then they're that stepping over the line where it's like, no, I'm not. Why would you do that? Who gives a shit? Like I don't, I never want to teach my kid that winning a fucking prom is anything that worth cheating over. Like there's going to be a million other things in the world that you want to cheat to achieve.
It seems so pointless to do. I mean, it's not an important thing. I mean, maybe I went to a dumb school or whatever, but it didn't feel like, I guess probably the more joiner type people it did, but it didn't feel like anybody cared. I couldn't fucking tell you who the prom queen or the homecoming queen were when I was in high school. I had no fucking idea. It just wasn't something people talked about. So it never seemed important to me. Although, you know, I've said this before. I didn't like go to the prom or homecoming or
That could be why.
any dances. Period. Like I just never went. I didn't want to go hang out at school after school. Was my big thing. I would always do that. Grover and her mother, Laura Rose Carroll, 50, an assistant principal. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The state attorney's office in Escambia County, Florida, confirmed to ABC News on Wednesday that Grover had been charged as an adult, which also seems very weird to me to charge this. She's 18 now, but she was 17 when it happened. This is a childish crime, dude.
This is high school shit. Yeah, there should be no crime even associated with rigging. It's like an Archie comic. Are you kidding me?
Right.
What is rigging the prom voting system is a fucking American Pie movie spinoff. Like this is nothing peculiar about this. This is growing up. This is all it is.
see, there are some things in this that I can see where people might be pissed about it, right? Because the way that they rig I'll read you how they rig the votes, Brett, because it's pretty weird. Uh, uh, where's it at? Grover and her mother are each charged with felony use offenses against users of computers, computer systems, computer networks, and electronic devices, in addition to felony unlawful use of a two-way communications device, which is an odd crime, felony criminal use of personally identifiable information, and misdemeanor conspiracy to commit those crimes. Grover and her mother were arrested in March following a roughly 4-month investigation by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement into a complaint lodged by the Escambia County School District that someone had gained unauthorized use to the computerized accounts of hundreds of students, according to an arrest warrant affidavit ordained by ABC News. This activity was discovered in October during Tate High School homecoming court voting when hundreds of votes were flagged as fraudulent, according to the affidavit. Investigators found that 117 of the fraudulent votes originated from the same IP address and were traced to Carroll, according to the affidavit, which also said 246 fraudulent votes were cast via Carroll's phone and home computers. Now, let me explain this. Actually, here's a better explanation here. As an assistant principal in the Escambia County School District, Carroll had access to Focus, the district's computer program that records students' identification numbers, dates of birth, grades, test scores, medical histories, emergency contacts, and disciplinary actions. The program also allowed students to access a third-party application called Election Runner, used to cast votes for homecoming queen from October 28th to October 30th. So what they did was the mom. Okay. So the way school works, schools have websites, right? That the kids log into to get their homework and all that stuff. It's in college, a Blackboard or a portal, right? And so she was breaking into other students' portal because her mom had like admin status.
Right.
And she was voting for herself as the other students is how they pulled this off.
Okay. So this is another kids will be kids who gives a shit anyways things.
Right. We stole.
So it wasn't the mom didn't mastermind. The kid just knew how to utilize her mom's access.
Yeah. The mom had let her use it a few times. And some of the students said she looks up all of our group of friends' grades and makes comments about how she can find our test scores all the time. One student told investigators, according to the affidavit. So she did kind of, she did kind of use it in a bad way. And her mom did give her the information and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
no harm, no foul.
I don't feel like a kid should go to jail for 16 years for this.
I mean, I think you look embarrassing. Like, I think that like everybody at school is just going to look at you as the loser that tried to change scores. Like, you already look pathetic. It's done. Like, that's karmically a sound thing. Like, it solves itself.
Absolutely. It is like a thing where everybody's going to know you as the loser who tried to rig the homecoming vote.
There was always, I've heard this more than once. But there's always a story of like some loser kid that everybody voted for as a joke, and then they had to adjust it to be the most popular kid. I've heard that story from more than one person. It happened at my school too, but it's also extremely bizarre that information would ever leak.
I think that story though, dude, there are these. I actually had a conversation about these stories in regards to like LSD and stuff earlier this week. How because they used to say the same things about the voting in student council and stuff like that when I was in school, that like somebody was fucking Why is he even running? But I was reading about acid stories from people's neighborhoods, and I kind of told a story on Twitter where I talked about this guy in my neighborhood who we called Jesus Christ, and they
Type.
said that he had a sheet of acid in his pocket, and he was running from the police, and it sweat over the sheet of acid, and it sunk into his skin, and he believed he was Jesus Christ. And like he would fucking scream like, I rebuke you at you when you walk by his house and stuff like that. So like, but like it was really just adults lying to kids and bullying this guy that had issues. You know what I mean? Like he didn't do acid, and they were just treating a guy like shit who had like real mental health issues and making fun of them to their kids. But like people started to tell me they all had people like that.
Well, that was in the movie SLC Punk.
Right.
That's like
that, though.
Right, right.
Like the early 90s. But yeah, it's in that movie because it's a famous story.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff just got passed along as like the truth. Like they were just folklore that like everybody went through. Like the Satanists in the woods, you know, there was a creek everybody had nearby. You went there, it was a mattress, there was porno, there was weird fire remnants or something, and you all thought it was like satanic ritual area.
So I ended up looking this story up that used to come up a lot when I was in school. And I was curious if it came up in your time because it had to have stopped sometime in the 90s. I don't think it made it all the way out of the 90s. There's no way, because this sounds like such a old style urban legend. But the Blue Star Tattoo legend is an urban legend which states that a temporary lick and stick tattoo soaked in LSD and made in the form of a blue star or of a popular children's cartoon characters is being distributed unknowing to children in any given area.
No, I do not know that one.
You never heard that? The DARE officers told us about that. They said never to take temporary tattoos from adults you didn't know because they had LSD in them.
Some guy is going out and buying a bunch of LSD and then distributing like Barney tattoos to children.
That's what they used to say. And it's funny when you think about it because like it doesn't seep through your skin that way.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to do it on like your eyeball. You'd have to do it on like your tongue. It would have to be like Fruit Stripes gum or one of those gum candies. They gave you tattoos for your tongue. That would be the best way to do it.
Actually, I'm wrong. The legend commonly surfaces in American elementary and middle schools in the form of a flyer, which is distributed to parents by concerned school officials. In the past, it was often the form of a poor quality photocopy, clearly many generations old, but it has now also become popular on the internet mailing lists and websites. The legend states that a temporary lick and stick tattoo soaked in LSD and made in the form of a blue star, the logo of the Dallas Cowboys is often mentioned, or of popular children's cartoon characters such as Mickey Mouse and Bart Simpson, is being distributed to children in the area in order to get them addicted to LSD, even though LSD is rarely addictive.
Yeah, I mean, who wants a bunch of elementary school kids on LSD at their house? That's a lot of trouble.
But people used to
you could also
legendary Bart Simpson acid when I was in school, like it was a national thing, like it was something that you could go and fucking, if you found the right drug dealer, he would have the Bart Simpson acid, which is the famous nationwide brand of acid.
Okay, top ecstasy in my day was Teletubbies. Like if you got Teletubbies, those were the hot shit that were
That's
like
true.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been a big part of any culture. I guess the lick and stick. So basically you're supposed to lick the tattoo and that gets you dosed and then you put it on your skin. And that's not how necessarily it happens. And at that point you're just like, I need lick and stick tattoos. I gotta go back to Marty's house. I gotta go get more lick and stick tattoos.
getting addicted to acid is also like a crazy thing to say. Like when I think about it now, like I can't even believe I believed. I believed it because adults that were much older and smarter than me were telling me this. You know,
Yeah,
'cause
I would
never
also
heard this.
if you went and told a bunch of 20 to 30-year-olds that you had tattoos that were actually acid, you would be a lot better off than convincing kids to do it. Like they have
Yeah.
jobs and they have money. Like that's who you're trying to make addicted to anything.
Exactly. It's that is a funny thing that like Dare and like the anti-drug campaign did was that it would say stuff like you know, the famous story I've said about my daughter coming home and asking me about black tar heroin. Like a fucking she's in third grade. Like somebody's gonna walk up to her in third grade and be like, "Hey man, you want some black tar heroin?"
Want to shoot up? Need a spike, man?
She's gonna shoot it. She's gonna do the heroin. Black tar, I believe you smoke, but I don't actually. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't want to be wrong about this for some reason.
You don't need to know, man. We don't need to be informational about that.
Yeah. So yeah, I always found that to be like it's just something you don't have to worry about. I almost like this is definitely like a cop thing, like a CIA psyop sort of thing to poison the well on acid. I can't imagine somebody just coming up with this, you know?
Yeah, I mean they've done so much to try to make it not as fun and great as it is. You know, I mean I don't know if it's addictive, but it is like it's a direct replacement for serotonin. And like it is very comfortable and easy to use that to get by. Like when you need to feel okay.
I
In
mean,
my opinion, my very expert opinion, as a regular user.
it's a very rare type of person though. Most people, you know, they do acid a few times and they're like, I don't think I need this. Like I don't need this all the time in my life. That
Yeah,
is the 99% of people who do acid. It's like this is going to be a special ceremonial thing for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the conversation could change on it very quickly. Um, uh, Especially with microdosing and lifting the laws on psychedelics and everything. I think we have a much more interesting conversation. You know, the way people are into ketamine and all those things now.
We're close
Uh,
to MDMA.
yeah,
MDMA cured a guy of his alcoholism, which is like what?
no, of course, of course. I mean, all that stuff is therapeutic, and all that stuff, you know, can be abused, but like that's not the case for a lot of people. You know, I regular user of things like that, and I don't feel sad about my life, and I don't feel like I'm trying to cover things up. I always, you know, am able to solve problems, and you know, the afterglow and effect of like a good trip is something that like enriches my life forever, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. The other funny urban legend about acid, Brett, I'll just throw it in there, is the false claim states that if it is possible to synthesize LSD or some similar hallucinogenic drug called bananidine from banana peels or other common household foods and chemicals.
Yeah, the one for me was always like they were always talked about flashbacks, and they always talked about like build up in your spine, and all of a sudden you'd have like a flashback out of nowhere.
Yes.
Totally a fucking lie. Totally not true. Um,
So you mean to tell
my I love flashbacks. Like basically the only flashbacks I ever had is if I look at like a stucco ceiling or like a popcorn ceiling, any sort of busy pattern with a lot of texture. And I think it's only because I have bad vision as well. Like I can get it to tile and tessellate and it feels like I'm back in like tripping. Like I have kind of unlocked the magic 3D eye puzzle of reality now, where I can look at a weird shadow in a corner and just like avert my gaze or do like 1,000-yard stare and just like leave reality and just let all the lights and colors freely move and float everywhere.
oh my god, you are an acid guy now.
Oh, oh yeah.
Most acid guy I've talked to since the 7th grade.
Hey, it works. It really works. I mean, I think it's
in small doses, not anything that like, not anything heroic. But it's in small doses, it creates like a base level that I guess maybe there's pharmaceuticals or stuff that I could resort to, but it's not really who I am. And like I said, I'm not really wanting for a solution when it comes to feeling okay. You know, a squirt of tincture in the morning is enough to make me feel okay. You know, I have other things I need to work on. Besides, you know, that isn't related to how I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. The LSD thing, the science behind LSD that I learned when I was really young was when I was doing it when I was in like 10th grade and shit like that, was that your brain bleeds,
Yep.
drips onto your spine.
Oh, so much
And
good
that's
art.
what makes you trip. But then the reason you would have flashbacks is because a scab forms on your brain
Oh
after you
yeah.
trip.
So
And
sick.
sometimes that scab busts open and then you're tripping again. That was
That's
what I believe the science behind tripping was.
You just wrote the best death metal song.
Yeah.
I feel like if you just described that.
And then
They
Alex,
told me it was bad, and then it's just like it's not. I've been doing it for a long time. I'm not young anymore. I'm very stable. A lot of the bad parts of psychedelics before was that I was a kid that was afraid of getting caught or I didn't have my shit together. But now I'm strong and confident, and like it gives me a boost of like that childlike energy, like the fun, joyful feeling of being, young. And I don't know, just you just gets rid of all of the judgment, and it gets rid of all of the feelings that I feel like I know about the world. It gives me the opportunity to feel good and joyful.
yeah. The other one is that LSD is called acid, so that when you drink citric acid,
I love that.
makes you trip harder
I love
because
it.
it's two kinds of acids just mixing with each other, you know?
Also, I love that. One of my favorite parts about drug culture, which is cringe, like maybe in movies and stuff like that, but like the routines that you get with people when you're finding yourself and you're all like tripping together. I used to love to go like buy a whole carton of juice. Like we would all go and each of us would pick our favorite flavor of like Bolt House Farms or some sort of we would just go get like a half gallon of juice and then we hang out by a pool, ride skateboards. Oh my goodness, just the best times. But I always loved picking my citrus.
Yeah.
I stand by it. I ate a fucking last week when I ate that boomstick and went on that walk. I got home and I ate like a whole bag of dried mango.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is like the way that we learn about drugs is truly the fucking weirdest thing in the world. I mean, that I could go to school and somebody would tell me that I could eat a piece of paper and then my brain would start bleeding and dripping on my spine is like a crazy fucking thing to tell a kid, you know?
For
like,
sure.
And like, we thought it was so cool, dude. We thought it was so fucking cool that our brains were bleeding. Like we just thought it was the raddest thing in the world. Like, hey man, and if you take more than 10 hits of acid, you're legally insane.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. And you could plead insanity in court, is what my friends used to tell me. That's why they felt like it was a smart decision to take more than 10 hits, because it's like, well, if I kill somebody or something, then I'll go to court, I'll get insanity because I did 10 hits of acid. You know, it was kind of like, this is actually like a economical choice, really, when you think about it. It's
it's the best move. Get out of jail free card.
Yeah. One last story before we get out of here. I saw this on the Market Watch website, Brett, and it is a doozy. It is an advice column for a guy named Quentin, and here we go. Dear Quentin, I did some business development work for a tech company on a contract basis. The CEO stated that I would be paid in crypto when I started to work in the spring of 2020. He added a clause to the contract stating the company may elect to pay in US dollars. So I mean, that seems fine. Like if you want to pay in dollars or crypto, it's like if the guy agreed to take crypto, then fine. You know what I mean? Like uh uh and I'm sure he's thinking when he agreed to take crypto, he's thinking also like that the company may elect to pay in US dollars. It's like I'll take either. I don't really care. They're both kind of the same to me. You know?
Yeah, I mean, this has obviously been a big part of the news. I've also seen it creeping up in other places. And there are folks that are selling houses with crypto and also lots of job relationships where people are asking to be paid uh, in that instead. The US dollars thing is just basically their ripcord to say if we have to go back to regular money, we're just going to do that, right?
Yeah, so this guy says I struck out the part of the contract because if I was going to risk getting paid in crypto and the price all of a sudden appreciated, I didn't want the company to revert to paying me in US dollars. In August 2020, I received payment for the contract work in cryptocurrency. Since then, the prices of cryptocurrency have skyrocketed. As of this moment, the crypto that I received payment in has gone up 700%.
Wow.
Today, I received an email from the CEO stating something along the lines of, since you did not generate any revenue for the company and are not currently doing any follow-up work, please send back all of the crypto received in August 2020. You can invoice the company for the hours worked in US dollars. So basically stating that I can invoice in US dollars at 7 times less than what the crypto is worth today.
Yeah, so they're looking at like they pay this guy like a tenth of a Bitcoin, and they're like, oh my God, we paid him a ridiculous amount of money. Now that I look at it,
Well, well, what they're seeing is that like this guy was like, I'll take crypto. I mean, I would take dollars. I'm a dollars guy personally over here, but always gonna pick dollars. When it comes to getting paid, I'm always gonna pick dollars. um, uh, uh, so this guy's like, I guess I'll take the crypto, and then the guy gave him what I assumed to be like whatever he had agreed to pay him in Bitcoin. He paid him, and then this guy got paid, and then that crypto Bitcoin moved up like 700%. So now he had 700% more dollars.
yeah,
And the guy was like, dude, no, it wasn't a deal. I was
stupid.
yeah.
And I've also seen people say that they agreed to get paid in crypto. They agreed to get paid in the same amount every single week for like the entire year, so that there's no fluctuation. Nothing is like adjusted for averages. You just pay this amount. And I don't know, it creates it's going to create a lot of weird circumstances, especially like this, and especially when a boss feels like all of a sudden they paid somebody too much. Like this is the downside, is that this is what most of the complaints are going to be.
Yeah, a boss that's like, hey, I wasn't trying to pay you, whatever you're making now.
We paid you 1 Bitcoin last year. That was supposed to be $50,000. Now it's, $70,000. That's bullshit.
So can you send me back $20,000? Can I have the 20 extra $1,000? And it's like, no, you will never get this Bitcoin back. There's nothing in this world that you're going to be able to do to get this money back.
You paid me. We're paid. It's done.
Yep.
If you're too jealous now, you can go back to, like, that's the thing too, is like, if you don't like it, if you can't hang with this relationship, you can't just bring yourself to watch one of your employees get paid more than what you think they're worth. Like, just go back to fiat.
He should have been at fiat anyway. I think really what happened was the boss thought he was ripping this guy off.
Right.
Really what the thing is.
He's like, I'll buy this computer money, and this fucker's gonna lose everything. Who cares?
Yeah, it's not gonna matter to me. I don't care. And like, I mean, I think the guy's crazy for taking crypto, really, even though now, it would be worth a ton. But I really like the idea that this guy that this boss just feels like this guy doesn't like. I can come back and ask later. I've always found it kind of disgusting that like a company could overpay you on accident and then come back for the money like a year later after doing
Sure.
an audit of their books
Right.
and shit like that. Like I've always found that shitty because they always put that on the worker too. They always put that on like, well, why didn't you come and say anything? It's like, I don't know. I thought he was being generous or something.
Right.
People, I mean, when somebody puts a bunch of money in your bank account, I heard a story. My daughter told me a story recently about a teacher that she spoke to that said in her first year they gave her a $6,000 check, and they didn't tell her it was to buy supplies for the class. So she went and bought clothes.
Oh no.
Immediately, and then found out that it was for supplies for the class, and she had to end up paying it back. You know, and like all I could think was like, she checked her bank account and it had $6,000 in it.
Yeah, you're like, I
it's
deserve
hard
that.
not to go nuts. Yeah.
Finally, this place is doing something right. They're paying me what I deserve.
Yeah. When I heard that story, I was like, that is such like a story that would happen to me. I told the story about my electric bill last week about how like it just didn't come for 4 months, and I was just like, well, I guess I don't have to pay an electric bill. And it's like they can still fucking chase you down and they can make your life even fucking worse later. But I think that like you shouldn't be allowed to take money back if you're a bank or you're a guy paying your employees in crypto.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think that like it's if people want to do it, it's fine. It doesn't cost them it's not costing them anything, you know, they just have to convert their money into crypto and send it to that person. Like if it goes up, like that's why they did it, dummy. That's why they were asking, because they thought it would double in price. So that's the name of the game. Why the fuck are you jealous?
Exactly. Fuck this boss. Don't give him his crypto back, sir.
No, fight
in crypto, because I mean you got a 700% amount of money. It's like just cash it in.
That's enough.
That's what I would do. Yeah, 700% is one of those like, I'll take this in fiat currency now.
Please.
Well, that is this week's Street Fight.
Thanks for tuning in.
Very fun.
Sorry, I was yawning a whole bunch at one point. I'm just very overworked. Not overworked, just worn out.
Yeah, don't say you're overworked. I understand you're worn out. But
yeah, I'm not overworked. I need to do more, but I'm worn out.
Yep. Well, that was a fun show, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you to everybody. Listen, follow us on social media. I'll try to get updated. I'll try to keep things regular. I'm trying to get everything together here so that we have a more normal situation. But thank you to everybody that follows along and supports, follows, likes, retweets, tells their friends. We'll get back to live shows too eventually. It's coming up. You know, it's on the horizon, and we can't wait to see all y'all again. We're Street Fight. Peace.